Hello everybody, my name is Ashley or Addie Art, and today I'll be your guest teacher. I'm gonna walk you through how to create this painting based off of this photo I took. And I just wanna say thank you to Joel Creates for allowing me to work with you all today. So without further ado, let's hop right into the video. So this is a photo I took while on my 1-year anniversary with my husband. So it's just a picture that I took on a pier. There's a lighthouse over there, so just a really nice composition. And I'm just gonna walk you through how to create that. So the first thing I'm going to do, actually before anything, I went in and just created the canvas size is just screen size in the Procreate app. And all of the brushes I use are the presets. I'm primarily going to be using the technical pen and the Blackburn brush as well. So those are the only two that I will be using, but of course feel free to use whatever brushes feel most natural, or if you want different texture, feel free to get fun with it. So I'm gonna start with my technical pen, make sure I'm on a different layer, and I'm just going to sketch out a rectangle shape to match that. So I'm just gonna do that. Okay, so now that we have our rectangle shape, I'm going to kind of follow the composition and just break it up into some pieces. So we can see the horizon line. Sorry, adjusting my seating. You can see the horizon line right there. So we're just going to follow along and add it right there. And the next thing I'm going to do is go in, I might zoom in a little bit so you can see better. I'm going to add little, I think it's a bridge, I'm not entirely sure. But add that right touching the horizon line. And add our lighthouse. So it's just very simple shapes. Do a rectangle and then a smaller rectangle on top. And then I'm going to go in over here and we're just going to add in several lines like that. And then from there, we're going to add these kind of V shapes. So we have something that kind of looks like that. And then I'm going to go in and add the pier. So it kind of connects from a little bit over there. We're gonna go to the right, kind of angles down, and then from right over here, we're going to drag that out and then extend it out that way. And then as you can see, there's some lines that kind of go through, kind of like that. So we're not gonna do it as intense, but just so we can kind of see helps you see the perspective. Just like that. And then the clouds, they're very flowy, like you can't really see, there's not any like super defined shapes. So I'm gonna just take liberty and just kind of create some fun flowy shapes myself, just kind of based off of that. So I can kind of see the clouds are kind of moving in that kind of direction. So I'm gonna take that and just run with it. Maybe add a little one over here. Just a very simple, fun, fluid shape. Okay, so now that we have our sketch, it's pretty much done. There are some rocks over here, but I mean, you can just scribble in some rocks. We'll get to that later. So now that we have that, I'm going to create another layer and make sure this layer is below your sketch layer. And then I'm going to tap the little N on the sketch layer and pull it down till it's somewhere around like 20, 30-ish, somewhere around there. And then make sure you're on the layer below. We're going to switch to our Blackburn brush, which is my favorite brush. I'm gonna make sure the opacity is all the way up. Okay, and this brush, again, beautiful. Love the texture that this brush has. So very fun. Okay, so I'm going to just color drop a random color, maybe like a nice blue. And I'm going to create that, kind of like outline that rectangle shape that we started with. So once you get that, you can just fill it in. And then I like to go in and just make sure there's a lot of texture on the edge. Perfect, and we are done. Well, not done with the painting, but we're done with our rectangle. So now we're going to go back to this shape that we just created and tap on the layer and click alpha lock. And now anything that we paint will stay within that shape that we just created. So I'm going to add another layer on top of that, tap it again, and click clipping mask. Ooh, clipping mask. And now, even though we're not on that shape, anything we draw will stay within the shape below that layer. So the rectangle that we just drew. So the next thing I'm going to do, let's add in the color for the water. So I'm just going to color drop, blue color, and just fill that in. And then we're gonna add a layer on top, make sure that also is on clipping mask. And now we're going to fill in the pier shape. So I'm just going to tap medium tone, make my brush a little bit smaller, and just go in. She gets a little dark. There we go. Okay. And fill in that shape. And again, it's kind of angled. It's not following the horizon line perfectly. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm going to actually add another layer, clipping mask. And now we're going to do the other part of the pier over here. So we're going to color select. It's kind of like a darker brownish black color. Make the brush a little bit smaller. And something that I use if I want some straight lines, a little pro tip, is if you draw a line or a shape and hold it, then the line will stay straight and you can move it. You can also tap and then edit your shape after you've made it. So some really fun tricks for Procreate. So we're gonna go ahead, create the rest of that pier that connects. And then we're gonna go in and we're going to add the railings right over there. So I'm gonna make my brush even smaller. And I'm going to draw my lines a little bit bigger than that. And then add those. And then we're gonna draw a line connecting all of them on top. Oop. And then we're going to create those little Y shapes. And there you have that section. We're going to create another layer. Make sure it's below the one we just did. And now we're going to create our, why do I always forget what it's called? Our lighthouse. So I'm just going to color select a medium-ish tone. Hop on over here. Ooh. And fill in that shape we had created. Make my brush a little bit smaller. We're gonna add those railings that kind of go around the top. And then adding that. So now we're gonna go in and we're going to alpha lock all the things we just did. So tap, alpha lock, ooh, and alpha lock. Beautiful. So now let's actually hop back down to the rectangle that we made, and we're going to add in the colors of the sky. So I'm still on my Blackburn brush. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. And I'm just gonna go in and color select the bottom, and we're just gonna work our way up. I start pushing heavy or pushing down and then slowly lift up as I go back and forth. And then we're gonna go to the next color, just kind of moving up. And then if you want, you can go in and take your blender brush. I also have my blender on the Blackburn brush as well. And then just shade. I still want some of that texture, so I'm not overly, or not shade, I'm not overly blending it out so it's just all muddy. Make it a little bit lighter. Nice. Okay, so now we're going to go in and add some more textures, some colors. So I'm going to start with the water. So I'm going to select a color that's a little bit darker than what I had before. Make my brush bigger and go very lightly and just kind of go over it, and it adds a really, really nice texture that you can see. And we can see that the water is a bit darker on this side because of the shadow that the pier is casting. So we're going to add that in. But then we're also going to have some lighter parts of the water as well. So go in, select a lighter part, a little bit, just to get those little ripples on the water, just like that. And now we're going to hop back to the pier. So with my big Blackburn brush, I'm going to go in with some darker colors. I'm going to add in some of those different variety of colors. And we can see over here too that it's a pretty dark line on the bottom. So if we go over here and just add that on the bottom, kind of grounds the pier a little bit. In addition to that, it's also a little bit lighter on top. Oop. Oopsies. We're gonna go in and make it a little bit lighter on top as well. Nice. Okay, so making our brush big, we're gonna go in, select some dark sections. We're gonna make it add a lot of texture. And when you're painting, don't just paint in any direction. We want every brush stroke to emphasize that it's all moving forward. It's all moving to this point right over there. So when you're drawing, try to keep your brush strokes, going this direction or this direction. Like that. Just so all your brush strokes are pointing to the point. Okay, so now that we have the darker part, I'm going to go in with some lighter colors. And we're just going in with some details. And I like things to be very loose and kind of scribbly, if that makes sense. So don't feel like you need to do exactly what I'm doing. Add your own style and flair to it. Okay, and you can notice there's a bit of bird poops. So we'll go in and add some of those in as well.
just to add some character. When we were here, this does not show it, but over at the point, right over here, you can see that. But there's, first of all, a bunch of birds, and second of all, a ton of poop. So, my husband did not want to walk out there, but I thought it was fun. Yes, there it is. Okay, that's what I needed. Adding some, too much, lighter color on the left side. So now what we're going to do is go in and add the, am I blinking? Clouds. So let's go back to a rectangle, the first shape that we created. Click the little plus to add another layer, and this is going to be our cloud layer. So I'm still on my Blackburn brush, and we're going to follow that shape. So I'm just going to select kind of a mid-tone, and we're going to follow that shape that we had created. Let's just go in. Ooh, fill that in. Just have fun with your clouds. I love when they're just so flowy and move with the wind. And my eraser is also Blackburn, just so when I erase, it's like kind of blends in with what I'm already doing. So just kind of play around with the shapes until you're happy with what you have. I'm not that happy with what I have right now, so I'm just gonna play around with it, change the shape up a little bit until I like what I see. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I think I'm happy with my cloud shape. If they change at some point throughout this, I didn't like it and went back and fixed it. So I'm happy with my cloud shapes for now. I'm going to tap it and alpha lock. Oh, and then also at this point, I'm gonna also turn off the sketch layer because, I mean, you couldn't really see it in the first place. So I'm gonna be on our cloud layer, it's on alpha lock. And now I'm going to just change the colors of it. So I kind of want these clouds down here to maybe stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to get a lighter color. And then the clouds over here, I kind of want to blend in a little bit and not be so prominent. So I'm going to add in some different shapes. Same with the ones at the top left. Feel free to use your blend tool. Not too much, because I don't like things to look too blended out. Okay, so now that we have our cloud shapes, I'm going to go in now and go to our lighthouse, and I'm going to add some dimension because right now it's just one solid shape. So we're going to make it a little bit lighter. Ooh. We're going to make it lighter on the front like that, and I'm going to kind of fan out a little bit from the middle. And then I'm going to select the red color and just make that a little bit darker, and then add some darker parts on the edge. And I'm assuming the light's coming from kind of this direction, so I'm gonna add more shadows on the right side. And I'm gonna go into the layer for this part, and we're going to select it. I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter. So kind of go to a brown, like a lighter brown, and just make it a little bit lighter just on the top of the bottom. The top of the bottom. You know what I'm talking about. This shape on the top part of it. Just like that. And then I'm actually gonna hop back to the water layer and get the part that's dark, get a darker color and make it a little bit darker right here. Maybe add some kind of shadow. Maybe make it a little bit, the tiniest bit darker. Just like that. Nice. I'm gonna do the same for over here by the pier. Just the tiniest bit of shadow. Sorry if I'm talking so quiet. And then over here as well on the right side, we're gonna make it darker. What we're gonna do is go in and add those rocks that are on the right side. So on top of our water layer, add another layer. And I'm not even going to, I didn't sketch this out just because the rocks they're just rock shapes. If you want to sketch them out, that is totally up to you. But what I'm going to do is just select a color from those rocks and make my brush a little bit smaller and just add a bunch of rock shapes. Some big, some small. And a way to make them look like they're in the water is to have them, you know, protruding outward, but then flat on the bottom. And that gives the appearance that they are, you know, partly submerged in the water. So just adding a bunch of rock shapes. So now that we have this blob over here, I'm going to alpha lock. And now I'm just going to go in and add some highlights and shadows. So I'm going to take a lighter color, and then on parts where I think the sun would be hitting, I'm just adding a lighter color. Like that. And I'm actually even going to make it a little bit darker. It's not exactly black, but pretty close to it. And then adding shadows. And then some lighter tones, some highlights. We're only going to add a few on the parts that are hitting the sun the most. On the left side a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to hop back to the water, make the water even darker just for this edge. My brush is a little bit bigger, still on Blackburn. And then you can even add some little shadows under some of the rocks. Nice, looking good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top, add another layer, and click a little N, and we're going to do color dodge. For those of you who don't know what color dodge is, it literally just adds magic and light to any piece you're working on. So I'll just demonstrate. I have like an orangey color selected, a deep color, and then it just adds warmth and glow to your piece. I absolutely love utilizing it in pretty much all of my paintings. So now I'm just gonna go in and add some beautiful sunbeams from the heavens. So again, if the sun's kind of coming from this angle over here, we're maybe gonna make some of the clouds a little bit lighter. And I'll blend some of these out as well. Add more highlight on the, I keep on forgetting what they're called, lighthouse. You know if you want, I mean, it's sunlight, so it wouldn't make sense, but we could add No, looks like it's shooting a laser beam. Now adding some light, maybe where the sun would be glistening on the water. And then of course on, oh wow, very, very sunny, on the left side of the pier. Maybe even over on the right side just a little bit. Actually, didn't even make it a little bit lighter for that. And then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna just blend it out a little bit so it's not so harsh. Maybe add some more highlights on the water. Kind of blend it out a little bit. I'm actually going to go back. I want my sky to be a little bit more colorful, so I'm gonna tap the rectangle that we had made, that is also the sky, and I'm gonna tap the little magic wand over here, go to hue, saturation, and brightness, and I'm just gonna crank up the saturation just a little bit. So this is kind of where it was, and I want it to be, yeah, somewhere around there. So just brightening up that background just a little bit. And I think we're done, actually. I think this is good. I'm happy where it's at. So with that being said, I am going to crop my canvas now. So canvas, crop and resize. Gonna go over here, bring in the sides a little bit, frame it nicely. And then I'm going to go in, go to the top, add another layer, and I'm going to go to my brushes, and then I actually have a stamp. So I have mine, it says my name, Ashley Newell. And I'm going to stamp, and I usually duplicate it to make it a little bit brighter. And I'm gonna click Alpha Lock, bring it down to the right corner, brighten it up a little bit, maybe even over here. Make it a little bit darker so you can see my stamp a little bit better. Okay. And there you have it. Thank you so much for following along with this tutorial, and thank you again to Joel Create for allowing me to work with you all today. Thank you again for watching my video, and have a great day.